Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Hughie Fury has returned after 2.5 years out of the sport to notch a victory over the veteran durable journeyman Kostiantyn Dovbyshchenko in the United Kingdom. This fight over 6 rounds, which Fury won 59-55 on the referee scorecard, was a GBM Promotions card. So let's talk about this, because I think many people who are watching this, and you can catch this on TalkSport, which GBM had the show on TalkSport's YouTube channel. Hughie Fury, pretty no frills performance, but I guess to be expected somewhat after that length of time out. He was also a career heaviest, and I don't necessarily think that suited him, because after about 4 rounds he was looking pretty tired, breathing pretty hard, 250 pounds, a weight he's never fought at before, and he was trying to put it on a very durable journeyman in Kostiantyn Dovbyshchenko, who was pressing forward, trying to work to body and head, and actually having a little bit of success. But the commentary on the YouTube broadcast was pretty shocking. Spencer Oliver in particular, just absolutely waxing lyrical about the performance from Fury. I thought he looked pretty average. I thought he showed those 2.5 years of inactivity. He looked rusty, he looked heavy, and certainly I think the feet and his footwork in general suffered from the extra weight. Looked like he was stuck in the mud at points. The feet weren't keeping up what the hands wanted to do at times. And Kostiantyn Dovbyshchenko is a guy who's notoriously durable. He can make you look a little bit average, and I said this in a tweet just ahead of the fight that, you know, he's the sort of guy that it's hard to necessarily look good against. But I think you can make a case as, given, you know, people think that Hughie Fury, or previously he's fought at the world level and sort of been a contender, you know, based on that, this showing wasn't necessarily, you know, it wasn't a great performance by any stretch. But he got rounds, and that was valuable. So that's one thing. And they are talking about a return to the ring potentially in May or potentially in June. We'll have to see what happens there. But he got through the fight. Didn't look like he took on any cuts or injuries. But overall, it was very no frills. You would have thought by the commentary that Dovbyshchenko was having no success. But one thing I was a little bit concerned about was how regularly Dovbyshchenko was connecting with the left hook on Hughie Fury. Couple of times landed a couple of decent shots. The problem is for Dovbyshchenko, he doesn't have any power. So Hughie Fury was never in trouble against Dovbyshchenko, but Dovbyshchenko certainly was landing on him. That right hand was sort of dropping down. He wasn't really didn't have it on the ear muff, as it were, and he was taking some shots across the 6 rounds. 1 or 2 left hooks, you know, every round, but nothing major. But just one thing I was a little bit concerned about, and certainly I think his weight should be down a bit. Closer to 240, I think, is going to suit him in the way that he likes to fight. Unless perhaps, like Tyson Fury, his cousin, that he's reached a stage, and he is now 29 years old, where he needs to convert his style a little bit. As we saw with Tyson Fury in his younger career, much more of a mover and boxer, and more recently in the last couple of years is sort of, you know, less movement and sort of more standing and trading. Perhaps Hughie Fury is also going to have to do that at some point, because perhaps what he wants to do, the body won't allow him to do as effectively as it once did. Something to think about. But against this opponent, no real danger, but, you know, you have to be good enough against Dovbyshchenko, otherwise he will catch you if you haven't put the work in. A la Matty Harris, his fitness let him down, and Dovbyshchenko ended up getting the win there. In this fight, no such trouble. Hughie Fury, no real trouble in the fight, but he looked like he was blowing pretty heavy after 4 rounds, and he did turn it up a little bit in the 6th round, but overall it's not like this was action galore. Hughie Fury didn't really have too much trouble, because the guy in front of him, obviously very durable and a little bit limited offensively, but it's rounds. So there's not too much more I can say about this fight than otherwise, you know, than most of the rounds. Rounds 1 to 5 were pretty much the same. Fury tried to step things up a little bit in round 6. Ultimately, though, he was never going to stop Dovbyshchenko, and the mere mention of that at the start of the fight, that potentially he could go in there and make a statement, I thought these guys haven't seen Dovbyshchenko fight before. Hughie Fury's not a big puncher anyway, so there was no recipe for a knockout of Dovbyshchenko in this fight. But It's rounds and Hughie Fury is back. I'm not sure what the market for Hughie Fury is, if he's really in the conversation of a big fight anytime soon. He needs to go in there in his next fight look better than this current performance, and hopefully he's a little bit down in weight. The skills and what he's doing in there a little bit more effective against a higher level of opposition. But maybe the next couple of fights is really just going to be tune-ups given the length out of the ring, and perhaps back end of the year might be when there's something bigger or better. I guess given he's been so inactive, and also you have to consider when he stepped up to world level, being beaten every single time, should he be looking to maybe contend and compete with guys like Fabio Wardley and also Fraser Clark? Is that where he needs to be targeting first before going up again? Because I see very little value in overmatched European journeyman level opposition a la Marius Vuk, who he's actually fought before, that sort of type of competition, because it's not going to tell us anything. I think we expect Fabio Wardley or Fraser Clark will be migrating to European level at some point, and potentially onto fringe world level in the next year or two. Hughie Fury's been out for so long, maybe he's got a little bit to prove. I'd like to see a little bit more, and not just the whole sort of, facing really low-level opposition and then demanding a, multi-million-dollar fight against a top contender, because I'm not sure he's in that conversation or that he deserves it. Where do you see him going? Who do you think he should be fighting after maybe another tune-up or two? Because I think it's a bit of an open question. Is he kind of on the outside looking in, screaming into the wind for a big fight, potentially, and no one will answer the call? Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.